Kathy Marie Moulton's disappearance, September 24, 1971, marked the last day 16-year-old Kathy Marie Moulton was seen. She had planned to attend a dance that evening in her hometown of Portland, Maine, and asked her father to drop her off on Cumberland Avenue. Kathy intended to buy pantyhose and toothpaste before getting ready for the event, so she stopped by a music store on Forest Avenue to visit a friend. She told her friend she'd see her at the dance and planned to walk home, about a mile and a half away. Kathy was last seen walking down Forest Avenue, carrying a brown leather Mexican clutch purse containing her house key, 2 tubes of toothpaste, and a small amount of cash. When Kathy didn't return by dinner, her parent became concerned and reported her missing. She was later seen in a stolen blue Cadillac with her friend Lester Everett, although it's unclear whether Kathy left with him willingly. Weeks later, Kathy, Lester, and another man, Ronald Reed Purley, were spotted in a remote area of Aroostook County. Lester was found alone and claimed he didn't know Kathy's whereabouts. A garage employee in Fort Fairfield recalled seeing the trio, noting that Ronald seemed to be controlling Kathy's movements, even walking her to and from the bathroom with his hand on her neck. Reports later indicated that Kathy, Lester, and Ronald had worked at McBride's farm in Mars Hill during the potato harvest. Kathy became increasingly distrustful of Lester, often begging to return home, but he refused. She befriended a teenage girl on the farm who later recalled Kathy's anxiety about her parents' worry and her fear of the men at the farm. On the evening of September 29, 1971, while other workers enjoyed a bonfire, Lester drove off with Kathy, claiming they were just going for a ride. He returned the next morning, saying he'd dropped her off at a camp. In reality, Lester had taken Kathy across the Canadian border to the Tobique Reserve and left her with Ronald. After the potato harvest, Lester and others left for Florida, never returning to Maine. When questioned, Lester claimed he didn't know what happened to Kathy. Lester died from cancer in the mid-1980s at 35. Ronald, a convicted rapist and home invader, has long been a prime suspect, but he refused to cooperate with authorities, even when offered immunity for information about Kathy. Investigators have speculated that Kathy may have been killed by Lester and her body left in the woods. But relatives of Ronald later verified that Lester had dropped Kathy off at their home, claiming a family member had harmed her. It's unclear whether this theory is true, as the family has refused to cooperate with the police. Investigators believe Kathy may have died on the Tobique Reserve before Thanksgiving 1971. But they never had enough evidence to file charges or obtain warrants to search Ronald's family home. In 1980, a hunter discovered a skeleton near Smyrna, Maine, surrounded by women's clothing. Some believed the remains might have been Kathy's, but the hunter couldn't retrace his steps to lead police to the site, and the bones were never found again. Kathy was a junior at Deering High School and was known to be a happy girl with no reason to run away. Her father passed away in 2017, but her mother continues to hold out hope for closure in the case. Mary Virginia Carpenter's mysterious disappearance. Mary Virginia Carpenter, 21, from Texarkana, Texas, went missing in Denton during the summer of 1948. She was last seen by a taxi driver on June 1, 1948, after traveling 6 hours to attend Texas Women's University for a summer term. Mary had transferred from the University of Arkansas to pursue a career change and had re-enrolled for the summer term. The taxi driver, Edgar Ray Zachary, recalled stopping in front of Brackenridge Hall at 9:00 p.m., where Mary paid him $1 to pick up her trunk the next day. He then saw Mary talking to 2 young men near a yellow convertible, which he thought was a Pontiac. Edgar assumed the men were friends, so he drove away, but Mary was never seen again. Some of Mary's former boyfriends speculated she might have run away with a lover, but her family disagreed, believing she would never leave without telling them. Mary had been very close to her family, and her recent breakup with her fiancé made the theory of her running away seem unlikely. Investigators initially focused on her boyfriend, Kenny Branham, and the taxi driver, Edgar, but both passed polygraph tests. Edgar, who had a history of petty crimes and abuse, was later linked to a failed rape charge in 1957. In 1967, Edgar's wife changed her statement, revealing that he hadn't arrived home until 2 or 3 a.m. on the night Mary vanished. Though Edgar passed polygraph tests, suspicion remained. The case took another turn when, in 1998, investigators received a tip suggesting that 2 men had raped and killed Mary, burying her body near the Texas Women's University campus. However, by this time, both suspects had died, and no evidence was found to substantiate the claim. Mary's case remains unsolved, with various leads surfacing over the years, but no concrete evidence. Both of her parents have passed away, leaving her three cousins still hoping for closure. Alvin Matlock's disappearance. Alvin Matlock, 21, went missing in Spokane, Washington during the spring of 1951. Alvin lived in a cabin on Browns Mountain, and his family first grew concerned when he failed to show up for Thanksgiving dinner. His mother visited his cabin, but it was empty, and his vehicles were gone. A neighbor claimed Alvin had quietly packed up and moved to Alaska, and the family initially believed this. But years of no contact made it clear Alvin was not in Alaska. Alvin's family later learned of a rumor that he had been involved in an affair with a married woman, leading to a violent confrontation with the woman's husband. Some believed Alvin was shot during the scuffle and left to die. However, no evidence was found to support this claim. Alvin's family had no records of him living in Alaska, and the story from the neighbor who reported his move remains suspicious. Patricia Matlock, Alvin's sister-in-law, investigated possible leads, but no new information surfaced. In 2016, at a missing persons event hosted by the Spokane County Medical Examiner's Office, Alvin's brother Clyde provided DNA samples and photographs in hopes of finding his brother's remains. He still hopes one day to have closure and learn the truth about Alvin's disappearance.